I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, typing out my life story like this. But honestly, I don't see any other way to get this off my chest. Me, that's Jake. Been with my wife, Emily, for 5 years now. We met in college, had our ups and downs, but things seemed solid enough, until about 6 months ago. That's when I started noticing little things that didn't add up, like her phone going silent when I walked into the room or her suddenly being too busy to hang out or answer calls. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she was just stressed at work, or maybe I was imagining things because I was anxious about the wedding coming up. We were supposed to get married last summer, and honestly, I was excited. Emily seemed perfect, beautiful, smart, confident, the kind of woman everyone admired. But underneath that, I could feel a shift. She became more distant, more defensive when I asked questions, and her excuses became thinner by the day. Then one night I was home alone, she was out with her friends, and I went through her phone. I know, it's not exactly noble, but I could shake this gnawing feeling that something was wrong. I never thought I'd find what I found. There were messages, not just casual texts, but something way more explicit. Pictures, flirtatious talk, plans to meet. I couldn't believe it. The guy she was texting was her best man, Mike. Yeah, the same guy standing at our rehearsal dinner, giving that stupid toast about how Emily was the one, and how she's the best thing that ever happened to him. And here she was, apparently cheating on me with him. Right before our wedding, I stared at the screen for a long time trying to process what I was seeing. My stomach sank and I felt this cold rage creeping in. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for months, pretending everything was perfect? I thought I knew her, but clearly I was wrong. The worst part, I saw that she was pregnant now, claiming it's mine, but I keep seeing Mike's face in every corner of our house. His stupid grin, his smug look when she'd lean into him in the photos they took together. I can't even look at her without feeling this surge of hatred and heartbreak. How did I miss all of this? How did I not see it coming? I always thought she was loyal, that she loved me. Turns out she was just waiting to cheat and lie until she was ready to come clean, or maybe not even then. When I confronted her the next day, I thought maybe she'd come clean, say it was a mistake or that she was sorry. But no, she's Emily, so she spins a story that makes my head spin. She told me it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that she was confused. She claimed she didn't want to ruin the wedding, that she'd been stressed, and Mike was just some stupid mistake. She looked me dead in the eyes and lied again about how she loves me, how she's going to fix everything, how I'm overreacting. It was like talking to a wall. I could see the bitchy smirk on her face as she threw her excuses around. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. It was just sex, Jake. It didn't mean anything. I love you, I swear. But I knew better. I knew that kind of lie. That kind of lie is what keeps the betrayal alive. The worst part, I still see Mike's face when I look at her, even when I try to ignore it. I see him in her eyes, in her stupid, manipulative smile. I wonder how many nights she was with him, how many lies she told to cover it up. It's like my entire world is crumbling around me, and I'm just standing in the middle of the wreckage, trying to hold it together. I feel stupid for ever trusting her, for ignoring the signs, for believing that she'd be faithful. How could she be so cruel, so selfish? I spent days just wandering around the house, trying to find some way to make sense of it all. This wasn't just some fling. It was a full-blown affair, and she's pregnant now. I don't even know if I want to stay married anymore, but part of me still can't let go of the fact that she's insisting it's my kid, that she's pregnant with my child. How do you even process something like that? After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. Every time I looked at Emily, I saw her lie, that stupid smirk, the way her eyes darted around like she was hiding something. I felt betrayed on every level. I mean, how could I not? She had lied to me for months, and now she's pregnant, insisting it's mine. But I saw Mike's face every time I looked at her. His smug smile, the way he'd look at her like she was some prize. I couldn't believe I almost married her, that I was planning to spend my life with someone who was capable of this. The thought of her carrying Mike's baby while she acted like everything was fine made my stomach turn. I was furious, at her, at him, and mostly at myself for not seeing it sooner. I started to realize I needed a plan. I couldn't just sit here and let her keep lying. I needed answers, I needed control. First thing I did was dig deeper into her phone, trying to find more proof, more context. I discovered that their fling wasn't just a one-time thing. There were messages, photos, even calls that showed it had gone on for months, right under my nose. She'd been sneaking around behind my back, lying about where she was, and I never suspected a thing. It was like I was blind, and what kills me most, she kept telling me she loved me, that she was loyal, that I was the only one. I don't even know what truth I was supposed to believe anymore. Once I had enough evidence, I decided I couldn't just confront her again and expect her to be honest. I wanted to catch her in the act, make her face the full extent of what she's done. It was then I started to think about revenge, about turning the tables. Not just ending things, but really hurting her where it counts. I wanted her to feel what I was feeling: betrayed, humiliated, broken. I made a plan to expose her in front of everyone, to make her see that I knew everything. But I also wanted something more, something to make her regret her choices. I wasn't just going to tell her I was done. I wanted her to pay. One night, I set up a little trap. I knew she'd be out with her friends again, and I snuck into her phone, downloaded all the messages, and even sent a few fake ones to her from Mike, just enough to make her panic. I wanted her to think I knew everything she was hiding. Then I waited. I watched her come home that night, her face flushed, her eyes darting around. She looked guilty, more guilty than I'd ever seen her. I decided I'd confront her right then, at the worst moment possible, and I'd do it publicly if I had to. I wanted her to see that I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. When she finally walked through the door, I was ready. I pulled out her phone, showed her the messages I had saved, proof that she'd been lying every step of the way. Her face turned white and she tried to deny it, but I kept pressing. I told her I knew about Mike, about the pregnancy, everything. She tried to spin it, said it was just sex, that she didn't mean for any of this to happen, that it was all a mistake, that she loved me, that she'd never hurt me on purpose. But I could see how panicked she was. Her voice cracked and her eyes refused to meet mine. That's when I knew she was lying even more, that her excuses were just that, excuses. I felt a strange calm come over me, like I was finally taking control of the situation. I told her I was done, that I couldn't trust her anymore. I told her I'd be talking to a lawyer, arranging a paternity test, and that I was done being the fool in her game. Watching her try to spin her lies, trying to put herself together, made me realize that I'd been broken for too long. I was tired of her manipulations, her bitchy attitude, her lies. I deserved better. I deserved someone who was honest, who didn't cheat behind my back, who didn't think she could get away with everything. I didn't want her anymore, not after she'd shown me what she was really capable of. After I laid everything out, proof, accusations, and my decision to end it, I watched her face crumble. Emily, that girl I thought I knew, the girl I planned a life with, suddenly looked small and helpless. Her eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of regret. They were tears of anger, frustration, and maybe even defiance. She tried to argue, of course, said I didn't understand, that it was all a mistake, that she still loved me and that I was overreacting. She even threw in some classic line about how I was controlling, jealous, and insecure. Honestly, I was past caring about her excuses. At that moment, I just wanted her out of my house, out of my life. The thing is, as much as I was angry, I also felt this terrible sadness creeping in. I kept seeing her face, her smile, how she used to look at me like I was her world. And now I saw her for what she really was: a liar, a cheat, someone who could throw everything away just for a quick fuck with her best man. It's crazy how betrayal can twist your emotions like a knife. I mean, part of me wanted to scream, to break things, to just lash out. But I knew that wouldn't fix anything. All it would do is make me look weak. So I took a deep breath, told her she had to leave, and that I never wanted to see her again. She argued that she was pregnant, that she was carrying my child, and that I owed her at least some respect. I looked right into her face and told her that if it was truly my kid, something I doubted now, I'd get a paternity test, that I'd be there every step of the way to make sure I wasn't just some fool being taken advantage of. But honestly, I was already questioning everything. How could I trust her? How could I believe a single word she said when she'd lied so blatantly? The idea of her pregnant, her carrying a child that might not even be mine, made my stomach turn. I felt so many conflicting emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, and a strange sense of numbness. Over the next few days, I didn't sleep much. I kept replaying everything: her lies, her betrayal, the fact that she'd been sleeping with Mike right before our wedding. It hit me that she'd spent months deceiving me, pretending to be the perfect wife while she was sneaking around, planning her betrayal. That realization hurt more than anything. I felt like a fool, but I also felt betrayed on every level. It broke something inside me. What makes it worse is how she's still insisting she loves me, that she's sorry, that she'll do anything to fix this. But I do. Buy it not anymore. Sorry doesn't fix cheating, especially not when it's been going on for months behind my back. At the same time, I know I have to decide what's next. I can't keep living in this mess. I don't want to raise a kid in a household filled with lies and betrayal. I've already started looking into lawyers, thinking about a divorce, but part of me still hesitates. I keep seeing her face, her sarcastic little smirk, the way she's trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty for finally catching her. I know I should just walk away and never look back, but it's not that simple. I spent 5 years building something with her, and now I have to figure out how to let go of all of it. It's like I'm mourning someone I loved, but who turned out to be a stranger. The worst part: every time I try to move on mentally, my mind drifts back to Mike. That smug bastard, the one who thought he could just swoop in and steal what I had. Honestly, I hate him more than I hate Emily right now. The idea that they were together, that she slept with him, that she might even be carrying his kid, I can't get it out of my head. It's like a sickness, a constant loop of betrayal that I can't escape. I want to believe she's truly sorry, that she'll change, but deep down I know that trust is gone, maybe forever. And that's the hardest part to accept. In the days that followed, everything felt like a blur. I went through the motions, packing her things, telling her to leave, trying to keep a straight face when she threw her tantrums and accused me of ruining her life. But inside, I was shattering. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner. How I could have missed all the signs, the late nights, the secretive calls, the way she'd get defensive every time I tried to get close. And then there was Mike. That guy, her best man, the one who stood at our wedding giving that stupid speech about how much he loved her. I kept picturing him with that smug face, the way he looked at her like she was some prize he'd won. That image made my blood boil. I remember sitting alone in the living room, staring at the empty wall, trying to process everything. I was angry, yes, but also numb. I thought about the future, what it could have been, what I lost. I kept feeling that gnawing ache inside, like a wound that just wouldn't heal. The betrayal cut deep. I told myself I'd be better off without her, but some part of me still hesitated. I kept remembering all the good times, all the plans we made, the life I envisioned with her. It was like I was mourning a death, even though she was still sitting right there, spewing her lies. And she wasn't making it easier. Emily, that girl I married, suddenly turned into a master manipulator. She tried to gaslight me, saying I was overreacting, that it was just sex, that she didn't love Mike, that she was sorry, but it was all a mistake. She insisted she was pregnant with my child, and she kept crying, trying to pull at my heartstrings. Honestly, I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But every time she'd look at me with those fake tears, I saw right through her. Her bitchy attitude, her quick temper, her little smirks, none of it matched the woman I thought I knew. It was like she was a stranger who'd come in and taken over. What really pushed me over the edge was when she said she'd do anything to fix this, that she'd even go to counseling or whatever. I looked at her and thought, no, you don't get to fix this. Not after what she's done. Not after months of lying, cheating, and sneaking around with Mike. The idea that she's carrying his kid, that she's pretending everything's okay, that she's trying to manipulate me into staying, made me want to scream. I couldn't even look at her without feeling the urge to push her out the door and slam it shut behind her. I was done being the fool, the one who got played for months. But beneath all that anger, there was this creeping sadness. I kept thinking about how I was going to explain all of this to my friends, my family. How I was going to tell them that I got betrayed by the woman I loved, that she cheated on me with my best man, and now she's pregnant with his kid. The shame, the embarrassment, it all hit me hard. I wondered how I'd go on from here. Would I ever trust anyone again? Could I even look at a woman the same way after this? Those questions haunted me every night. I felt like I was drowning and I didn't see a way out. At the same time, I knew I had to focus on myself. I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. I started to think about what I wanted moving forward: divorce, maybe, or some kind of legal separation to protect myself. I didn't want her to keep manipulating the situation or pretending she was innocent. I wanted a clean break, a way to start over without her dragging me down. The idea of facing her again, trying to get her to admit the truth, seemed impossible now. All I wanted was to reclaim my dignity and figure out how to move past this. But honestly, I had no idea how. I just knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. The days turned into weeks, and I found myself in a state I didn't recognize. Every morning I woke up with a sick feeling in my stomach, part rage, part despair. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could do was replay everything in my mind, trying to make sense of how I got here. How I went from planning a wedding with the woman I loved to dealing with her cheat, her lies, and her pregnancy with another man. My trust was shattered. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept going back to that moment when I confronted her with the evidence. The look in her eyes when she realized I knew everything. That expression, that mixture of panic and defiance, haunted me. I knew I had to make some decisions. I'd been talking to lawyers, setting up appointments, trying to figure out what my rights were. I didn't want to be a part of this any longer, not as a fool, not as a sucker who believed in fairy tales. I started to picture what life would look like without her. No more lies, no more betrayal. The thought of raising a child with someone I no longer trusted was terrifying, but I also knew I couldn't stay in this relationship, not after everything. I had to get out, even if that meant walking into unknown territory alone. I also thought about telling my friends, my family, how I'd explain this mess. It was humiliating, but I knew I couldn't keep hiding. Meanwhile, Emily kept pushing, trying to manipulate me into staying. She'd cry, throw tantrums, tell me she loved me, that she'd change, that she'd prove it. But I was done buying her words. I saw through her manipulation now. She thought she could guilt me into staying, that her tears would undo all the damage she'd done. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I told her that I needed space, that I was going to focus on sorting things out legally and emotionally. I told her I wanted her gone from my house and my life. She flipped out, calling me an asshole, a terrible husband, and trying to say I was overreacting. But I just looked at her and said, "You lied to me for months, you betrayed me. I don't want to see you again, and I'm done." Deep down, I knew this was the end. I couldn't see a way back from her lies, her betrayal, the fact that she's pregnant with Mike's kid. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly empty. I always thought I was a decent guy, loyal, honest, supportive. But now I see that I was just blind. I was blind to her real character, blind to the signs, blind to the fact that she never really loved me. All those years I spent building a future, planning a life, and she was sneaking around, playing me for a fool. The worst part, knowing that she's pregnant right now, carrying Mike's child, and that she still insists it's mine. That's what kills me most. How she's trying to rewrite everything, make me doubt myself, make me doubt the truth. I've started to think about what I really want. I don't want to be with a woman who lies and cheats, who manipulates and tears apart my life. I want to move on, find someone who actually cares, who values honesty. I know I'll need time to heal, to trust again, but I also know I can't stay stuck in the past. I've told her to leave, and I've started the process of legal separation. No more excuses, no more tears. Just me, trying to piece myself back together. I keep asking myself how I got here, how I let someone so manipulative get close enough to destroy everything. The answer's not simple. I guess I was just too trusting, too hopeful. But now I see the truth. Some betrayals cut so deep, they leave scars that never fully heal. And I'm just trying to survive those scars one day at a time. Now, looking back, I realize how much this whole ordeal has changed me. I used to believe in fairness, honesty, the idea that love and trust could conquer everything. That belief got shattered the day I found her messages with Mike, the day she told me she was pregnant and I couldn't even tell if it was true anymore. I thought I knew her, but she turned out to be someone else entirely, someone I barely recognize now. It's a harsh lesson, but one I had to learn the hard way. Trust is not something you give blindly, especially when betrayal is hiding behind a pretty face and sweet words. Since then, I've been focused on rebuilding my life. I got a lawyer, started the divorce process, and made sure I protected myself legally. I also cut all contact with Emily. No calls, no texts, nothing. Honestly, I don't even want to see her anymore. Every time I think about her trying to manipulate her way back into my life, I just feel nothing but disgust. The pain of betrayal still lingers, but it's dulling day by day. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to understand how I let myself get so blind, and how I can trust again someday. It's not easy, and I know I'll carry this scar for a long time, but I also know I'm stronger for having faced it. What I've learned most of all is that some people are just not worth your trust. That no matter how much you love someone, they can still betray you in ways you never imagined. And sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away before they completely destroy you. Emily's pregnancy, her lies, her bitchy attitude, none of it is worth my peace of mind. I've come to accept that I can't change her, I can't fix what's broken, and I definitely can't make her see the damage she's done. So here I am, finally starting to breathe again. I'm focusing on myself, on my future, and on finding a way to move past all of this. I don't have all the answers, and I probably never will, but I do know that I won't let her or Mike define me. I've learned that betrayal doesn't just hurt, it changes you. But it also teaches you who you really are. And I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I'm not the same man I was 6 months ago, and that's okay. Sometimes, the only way to survive is to accept the pain, learn from it, and move forward, alone if necessary, but better for it.